Hello again, this is Jamie here. In this post-production course, I'll be taking you through the process of turning a raw render into an amazing final image using some of the best techniques in industry. So without further ado, let's start by loading up the pre-rendered files. First, click on File, scroll down to Scripts and choose the Load Files into Stack option. In the Load Layers dialog, click on a Browse toggle. Inside the folder, to select the entire set, click on the first layer. Scroll down, hold down the Shift key from your keyboard and select the last layer. Now the whole set of files are selected. Click OK. All files are now inside the Load Layers dialog. Click OK to load them up. As you can see, all files should start stacking up in the Layers tab. One of the biggest benefits of loading files in this manner is that every render element comes with its original name next to it, which makes it easier to determine which layer is which. Now that all the render elements have been loaded, let's start turning off the visibility of all layers apart from the RGB render element. To do so, select the RGB layer first, hold down the Alt key from your keyboard and click on the eye icon of the RGB element. As you can see, all remaining render elements have been turned off. Next, we're going to select and move the RGB layer to the bottom of the pile. Also, let's color code this RGB layer by right-clicking on it and choosing the red color from the list. The following step is to create the first group by clicking on this button. Double-click on it and name it as Equal Multimatte Equal. This is the group where all the multimatte and the wire color render elements will be moved into. It's always good practice to organize layers into groups, especially when you have this many render elements floating around. Next, select the first multimatte layer from the list, scroll down, hold down the Shift key from your keyboard and select the last multimatte layer from the list. With the list of multimatte render elements selected, move them all into the multimatte group created. Also, select and move the V-Ray wire color render into it. The next group that we're going to create is a render element group. Click on this button to create the second group. Let's name this group as Equal Render Element Equal. Next, select the remaining render elements and move them into the render element group. Everything is looking a bit more organized now. The next group to create is the Light Select group. Let's create a new group and name it as Equal Light Select Equal. And create another group and call it Equal Adjustments Equal. The Adjustments group is where adjustment layers such as curves, levels, hue and saturation and so on will be. And the Light Select group is where all the V-Ray Light Select elements will be. The Light Select group should always be positioned under the Adjustments group as it works best to control the overall brightness. The following step is to bring in the photo reference used in a previous course. As mentioned earlier, it's always good practice to use captivating photos as guide for the overall art direction, as opposed to going through experiments and trial and errors to see what works best. Let's go to File and choose Open. Choose this photo reference here. Once open, let's reduce the size of the main render document so we can continuously refer back to the photo reference. Let's add the first adjustment layer by clicking on this button. From the list, let's choose the Curves Adjustment layer. These upper areas without the graph represent the brighter areas of the image. The lower areas where you see the graph represent the darker areas of the image. Let's start by clicking and adding a point here and another point there. Move the upper point up to increase the levels of the brighter areas. Move the lower point down to decrease the brightness of the darker areas of the image. Let's adjust the points a bit further to add more contrast and match it closer to the photo reference. By turning the layer visibility on and off, you can clearly see the huge difference the curves adjustment layer is making to the overall render. The render is already looking close to the photo reference. Let's move this adjustment layer inside the adjustment group. Next, we're going to move all the ViewRealize Select elements from the Render Elements group into the Light Select group. Select the first ViewRealize Select element, scroll down, hold down the Shift key from your keyboard and select the last one. With the whole set selected, simply move them into the Light Select group. The following step is to start tweaking with the ViewRealize Select elements to make the render more photorealistic. Let's start with a window light. Select the window light element as written on the layer and change its blending mode from normal to screen. ViewRealize Select elements work best with the screen blending mode. Just by turning the layer on and off, we can clearly see the massive difference this ViewRealize Select element is making to the entire render. Next, let's go to the adjustment group and make the blue tones to look a bit closer to the photo reference. To do so, click on the adjustment layer button and choose the selective color from the list. In the color selection, let's choose the cyans from the list. All adjustments made here will only affect the cyan tones of the image. Next, click and drag the yellow tones to adjust the cyan tones slightly. Do the same with the magenta tones. As you can see, the colors are coming really close to the photo reference now. Let's adjust the cyan tones as well. Next, let's add the hue and saturation adjustment layer. To ensure the hue and saturation is only affecting the selective color below, we need to clip it. To do so, while the hue and saturation is still selected, hold down the Alt key from your keyboard and move down the cursor until you see the clipping sign. Click to clip it against the selective color below. Now the hue and saturation changes will only affect the selective color adjustment layer. Begin moving the saturation slider to desaturate the cyan tones a bit. Pick and choose the cyan tones from the hue and saturation list and adjust it slightly. Go back to the master tone and adjust the saturation again. As you can see, the blue tones are looking very close to the photo reference now. Let's rename the selective color layer to _cyans. It's good practice to rename layers according to their functionality in case we need to revisit the files in future. Also, rename the hue and saturation layer as _cyans. Let's check the changes by turning the adjustments on and off. Next, we're going to enable more ViewRealize Select elements. This is the first window Light Select added. Enable the visibility of the sphere ViewRealize Select element and change the blending mode from normal to screen. Turn it on and off to see the difference it's making in the scene. Let's add the levels adjustment layer and clip it against the sphere ViewRealize Select element below. To change the color of this light, let's choose the red tones from the levels properties list. Begin moving the slider in the middle to make the light source a bit warmer. The changes can actually be seen in the light stand and the reflections. Let's also choose the blue tones from the level properties list and make it even warmer by moving the middle slider a bit to the right. Let's also do something similar with the green tones from the list. As you can see, the overall look and feel of the render is coming closer and closer to the photo reference. Let's rename this layer as _red, blue and green, as all three colors were tweaked individually. Next, select the kitchen light wash and change its layer blending mode to screen as previously done with all other ViewRealize Select elements. Let's repeat the same process with the next kitchen light wash element. Can we have both kitchen light elements enabled? Let's select and enable the dome light element using the same process as before. Move the dome light layer so it sits under the window light layer. The dome light layer should always be placed under the window lights and artificial lights to reflect the order in which the effect is seen in real life. Turn the dome light layer on and off to see the huge difference it's making to the overall scene, which is quite amazing. Let's adjust the color of the sphere light a bit more. The next light to enable is the ceiling light wash layer. Using the same techniques as before, turn the layer on and off to check its impact in the overall scene. Let's reduce its opacity value to decrease the overexposed areas seen in the edge of the ceiling. Enable the IS light 015 using the same techniques as before. As you zoom in closely, we can clearly see the IS light pattern edges being generated on the wooden floor and surfaces. To correct this, first we're going to create a layer mask by clicking on this button. Next, enable the brush tool by clicking on its side toolbar or by clicking M on your keyboard. When the layer mask and the brush tool are enabled, you should always use the black or white background colors seen here. The black color brushes away pixels and the white color does the opposite. You can switch between the colors by clicking on that arrow button or by using the X key from your keyboard. Set the brush opacity value to about 12%. This will allow you to gradually brush away pixels without making any mistakes. Begin brushing away. Increase the brush opacity to about 47%. As you can see, the IS light pixels are not being brushed away. That's because the background color is set to white. Let's switch it to black and brush away again. As you can see, the IS light pixels are now being brushed away gradually. You can repeat this action on other areas you might find. Reduce the brush opacity and brush away more areas. When brushing, every stroke can be seen in the layer mask thumbnail. Next, let's change the IS light color as previously done. Repeat the same action with the next IS light in the list. Let's add the layer mask and gradually brush away the hard edges of the IS light. Rename this level's adjustment layer as _red and blue. Select the next IS light on the list and repeat the same actions as before. Instead of creating and tweaking a new adjustment layer, simply select the previous adjustment layer, hold down the Alt key from your keyboard and move the layer up to copy it. Clip it against the IS light 013. This adjustment layer is now affecting the IS light 013 only. Check how this light and color are affecting the scene. The overall scene is coming together very nicely and looking closer to the photo reference. Let's make the color of this light a bit more reddish and warmer to look closer to the photo reference. Rename this adjustment layer as underscore red, green and blue. Both images are now looking very much alike. Repeat the same action with the remaining lights in the list. The building outside could do with a bit of a blue tone to its facade, and the office windows could be a bit warmer. To do so, let's create a new group inside Adjustment Group. Next, to create a selection, open the Multimap group. Enable the visibility for the multimap of the building outside. Open the Channels tab, hold down the Control key from your keyboard and select the green channel. While the selection is still enabled, go back to the Layers tab and turn off the Multimap layer. Scroll down, select a new group and add a group mask to it. Name the new group as -background-. This group mask will ensure all future layers and adjustments inside it will be contained within the mask. Next, open the Render Element group and select the Diffuse filter. To copy it, hold down the Alt key from your keyboard and move it to copy the layer. Move it inside the background group. Next, let's add a color balance adjustment layer to make the office inside a bit warmer. Move the mid-tone slider slightly to the red side and this slider slightly to the yellow side. The following step is to add a bit of a blue tone to the dark stone of the building. To do so, in the Render Element group, turn on the visibility of the Diffuse filter. Enable the Magic Wand tool by clicking on it, or by simply pressing W on your keyboard once or twice. Set the tolerance to 16 and click on the dark stone areas. Zoom out to see selected areas. To deselect undesired areas, simply enable the Marquee tool by clicking on its icon, or by clicking M on your keyboard once or twice. To subtract selected areas, hold on the Alt key from your keyboard until you see the minus on the screen, followed by drawing around all areas apart from the building darkstone. Next, inside the background group, while the selection is still on, add the solid color adjustment layer by clicking on this button. In its color picker dialog, pick a darker blue tone and close the dialog. Reduce the opacity slightly to blend it with the building. Next, we will start working on the curtains. In the Render Elements group, turn on the Multi-Matte layer with the curtain. Open the Channels tab, hold down the Control key and select the red channel. Deselect undesired areas and turn off the Multi-Matte layer. Create a new group with a mask on top of the Light Select group. Name the new group as Equal Curtains Equal. Copy the Global Illumination layer from the Render Elements group and move it inside the Curtains group. Turn on the layer and reduce its opacity slightly to blend it. As you can see, the Global Illumination layer worked well for the curtain on the right, but not so much on the left curtain. To correct this, hold down the Control key and select the curtain mask. Enable the Marquee tool and deselect the right curtain. Deselect everything by pressing Ctrl and D on your keyboard. Create a layer mask for the Global Illumination layer. Select the left curtain again. Enable the brush tool. You can set to increase or decrease the brush size with the left or right bracket on your keyboard. Or go to the main toolbar and click on that arrow button to set the brush size. While the layer mask is selected, begin brushing away the pixels of the Global Illumination layer. Zoom in to see the results. Close all groups to see how all layers are organized. We can still tweak with some of the adjustments such as hue and saturation and the selective color. Next, let's select the sphere light. To do so, simply right-click and select it from the list. This is one of the main reasons why groups had the equal before and after the name. This way, it will be easier to pick layers inside a specific group when you right-click on it. Let's adjust the light colors a bit further. The following step is to darken the dish of the light stand. To do so, enable the Multi-Matte layer first. In the Channels tab, select the blue channels. Enable the Marquee tool and subtract all selections apart from the light dish. Back in the Layers tab, turn off the visibility of the Multi-Matte layer. Scroll down Under the Light Select group, create a new group with a mask and name it as Equal Backlight Equal. Add a levels adjustment layer to the new group and darken it a bit. Let's also tweak with the Sphere Light Select levels. Open the Light Select group and select the Sphere Light Select levels. Next we're just going to do as before, just going to make the frames a bit darker and the stools as well. But before we do that, we're actually going to add a bit of vignetting just to add a bit more contrast. So what we're going to do, we're just going to create a new layer there, name it vignetting, and then we're going to use the gradient bucket tool, the paint bucket tool there, create a layer mask there, and obviously that being dark is going to make it totally invisible, so we're just going to, so that's invisible. Now enable the brush tool there, increase the brush size with a bracket on your keyboard. You can shift here between background colors there. Black omits the pixels and white brings them to the foreground. So in this case you want this to be 10%, so you can just gradually add it there. Just add a bit more contrast to certain areas. And we're going to start breaking down every single object with the multi-matte selections as we previously done. After breaking down most objects in the scene, the final result should look similar to this one. Do refer to the daylight course to see how each render element was used. The final step is to add a chromatic aberration and save the final file. First, enable the Move tool and close all groups. Right-click on the edge of the document and choose to duplicate. Click OK. Scroll down, select the bottom layer, right-click and choose to flatten image. Next, we're just going to zoom in at 100% there. Go to channels, choose the red channel there, the Move tool on, nudge it up, select the green channel, nudge it down once, the blue channel, nudge it to the left, and go back to the RGB. So now you've got your chromatic aberration. The next thing that we're going to do is to duplicate it, choose the destination document. We're going to choose the that one, so it's here. Let's name it as chromatic aberration. And then we're going to choose the darken blending mode. The next step is to save this image as a TIFF file format. TIFF file formats are the best for high resolution prints. Click on File and choose to save as. Let's name the file as _night and check the layers option to flatten the image and click save. And obviously you're going to choose the discard layers and save copy and save it. And obviously you'll save this as a PSD Photoshop file and then do so. This is the final result here, as you can see. This concludes our interior and art course. I really hope you found it useful and look forward to seeing you in the next one.